very different topic today. We talk about money.
Which we just discussed over lunch is one of these taboo topics in our society, which is like no one ever talks about it.
And I think lots of people are like, you have money, you don't talk about it.
Yeah.
This is like the go-to thing people say. And I think there's actually a lot of issues, sorrows, or also pressure connected around money, whether it's you personally, your spouse, your friends, your parents, like all social constructs. It just leads to a lot of tension if there's an imbalance or if there is just like not enough, basically. And that can create a lot of issues.
It does. And also, how are you supposed to learn about money and how to manage it well, investing, all that stuff if no one ever like talks about it and you cannot really share experiences with your friends. I know at least my growing up and kind of in my social circles, it's not very common to talk about these things and like what you earn unless it's basically published somewhere in like a table as it is for my salary because I'm kind of employed by the state. So you can all look my salary up online if you want to, but unless this is the case, people don't really talk about what they earn, for example, or what they pay for rent or how much.
So if they look up your salary, we need some kind of donation button then, or?
Yeah, I mean, I will be happy about this. My salary is not really great at the moment.
But yeah, kidding aside, I mean, it's very special if people talk about it because usually when I'm around friends or also at work and somebody asks me like, yeah, I earn X. And they're like, why are you saying that? Just like if when I'm asking you, I'm like, yeah, but you asked. So why should I not answer? I mean, it's a normal question. And of course, there's situations where you're probably not supposed to say it. But on the other hand, I think it's very important to be transparent. Like others should know, especially if you're in a similar team setup or something. Because I've been at points where I saw in other teams, there were like two people, different age groups, different experiences, not good or bad, but they had like a 40K gap in salary. And I was like, damn, that seems unfair. But they didn't talk to each other, so they didn't know. And the one was just better in arguing with the boss than the other. And that's how they got their cash, right? But yeah, I think it would be really nice if it would be transparent. Like just publish all salary information of everybody in the company.
Yeah, like kind of make a printout and just stick it to some wall or the coffee room or whatever.
Yeah, or even online. Just put it on the LinkedIn, like on the job ads or whatever. And you say if you work as a structural engineer, you earn between 80 and 85K. And I think it doesn't need to be the exact number, but I think this would already give a certain transparency.
You kind of have some range because then it still might depend on maybe some things like experience, whether you have a little bit more experience in a certain area versus another person, or maybe age or how long you've worked for that company. So you have some wiggle room, but still this would give you a nice range, kind of. What's the ballpark of it?
Yeah, but not a ballpark. Yeah, it's between 60 and 160K. That's a little,
No. You need to have something meaningful,
like
right?
5 to 10K room.
I can also tell you that I earn between 50 and 150K, but like, what exactly are you going to do with this information? You still don't know where.
So it's going to be the middle, right?
No, it isn't, unfortunately. As a disclaimer, this video and the information therein should not be taken as financial advice, because this video is for entertainment purposes only. The use of the information in this video podcast is strictly at your own risk. Therefore, Nina Kate and Kilian Sen will not assume any liability for any direct or indirect losses or damages that may result, including but not limited to economic loss.
When I grew up, it was always also like nobody ever talked about money. And even we got this weekly or monthly money from our parents. I don't remember actually weekly or monthly, but if you did your chores and everything and you've behaved and you've been nice, you got like, I don't know, $2 a month or something in the beginning, and then it went up a little the older you got. And that really helped to kind of learn deal with money, but you never really knew, is Nina now getting more than I or less? She's not talking about it. I see her handling money every now and then, but what's happening? Even there, already at a young age, was like unclear who's getting how much.
Yeah, it starts very early, and if you start kind of practicing to handle money very early by getting like this pocket money, but you also already learn that you're not supposed to talk about it.
Right. But I think it's also there, it would be nice to just be able to speak about it. Because I feel like it can create tension, or it can create tension if you talk about it as well. I mean, if a family does not have the amount of money to give their kids, and other families like, yeah, here you have $100, you're like 2 years old, but whatever. It's like very difficult to find the right middle way. But I think it would show already kids that not everybody has the same.
I mean, I think talking about it would be still the better option because let's say one gets $100, the other gets maybe 10 because their family cannot afford to give more to their kids. Then just knowing this difference might feel unfair in the beginning, but you could still ask your parents, hey, why am I not getting that much? And then they could explain, okay, because maybe we're a bit tight on money, this is all we can give you at the moment, whatever. And I think you can then also get a better understanding for how things are and why they are a certain way.
Yeah, but I think kids also probably don't understand, or depending on what age,
True.
or also don't want to understand. So I don't know if it's the right age to do that, but as soon as you start like working, like if you do an apprenticeship or if you work part-time in a practica, that's the level where it should start with the talking. And in the beginning, if it's depending on the parents, I think that leads to too much tension, or can lead. So therefore I understand when it's not that transparent, but the issue is it keeps going throughout. I don't know how it was for you growing up, but for me, as soon as I started apprenticeship, it was like everything normed, because we were like 24 apprentices in 5 or 6 different job categories, and everybody had the same. Like people doing 4 year apprenticeships had the same like 4 year stages, and the people with a 3 year apprenticeship had 3 stages, and it was transparent who earns what. And then yes, you had a bonus potential from I think 100 to $800 for a year, which is not that much, but better than nothing. So that was like the variable part. And then you could like, yeah, work a little harder and you get $100 more or less. But the base salary was declared and everybody knew it from the others.
Which I think is a very nice approach. That's also kind of what I like about kind of my salary basically being published online. Because I know what I earn, I know what my colleagues earn, I know exactly what my colleagues earn, kind of in what level they're in. So there's no confusion. In that system, there's also no room for basically negotiations. So you just are assigned kind of this one salary based on the job description that you have, but at least it's very clear. There's no like one person gets 40K more because they have more experience or they're better with arguing with their boss. So you kind of can also avoid situations like these.
How was it for you not like going the apprentice way? Because I feel like you go to school for a little longer than I did,
Just
and
a tiny bit.
and I wanted to work very early. Wasn't an apprenticeship, but basically I started during summer vacations when I was like 6, 7 years old to work. But I feel like when you get older, 15, 16 years old, you want to go on vacation, chill with friends, go somewhere, and then not having this financial resource, I can imagine that's quite tough. Or you have to ask your parents, hey, I want to go there. You mind spending 2K on me, please?
Maybe it has a kind of as an explanation just quickly for people not from
Right.
Switzerland. So the Swiss system is set up that you have 9 years of mandatory school, and then after that, basically you decide whether you do another 4 years of high school or you do an apprenticeship, which is usually also 3 to 4 years. So you kind of end up at the same age with just two different types of educations. One
Right.
more academic, school based, and one is kind of more practical, but they're really equal, I would say.
Yeah,
In
it's
our
just
system.
different.
It's just different. So not one is better than the other. So I obviously went the school route. So I went to high school these 4 years after the 9 mandatory years, and it was very different. I mean, I was lucky enough that my parents gave me quite some generous pocket money during high school, especially. I don't remember what it was, but it was like 100, 150 a month or so. You could actually do something with it if you saved enough, and with maybe some money you got for your birthday or for Christmas, also from your grandparents or whoever. Then in the end you had a little bit saved up that you could take a trip. with friends or spent money on going to the cinema, buying some books, whatever it is. But yeah, it wasn't a lot. I mean, I imagine you probably had a lot more disposable cash.
Yeah, we had the first year was $600 a month. The
Okay.
second was 750, the third 1,000, and the fourth 1,200.
Yeah.
This was through all stages. I don't remember the 3-year apprenticeship, how they was staged. They have a little different ones, but all the 4-year apprenticeships were like this. And I think they're still very similar, even though it was like 12 years ago I started. And I mean, if you come from zero, or like the little pocket money you get from your parents, and you go up to 600, that's like a lot of money. And you're like, dang, I like it. But it's also there, I tried to save a lot, because usually the things I wanted to buy were expensive, or like building a gaming computer like for 2K or 3K, and they're like, that's a lot of work you have to work to actually get that. But you were still able to, like, after 3-4 months, to buy parts of it. Whether for you it would have taken you like 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was lucky in a sense, or maybe clever, I don't know what you want to call it, that I then also had some kind of side jobs. So I did some ghostwriting, I worked part-time, or like kind of during summer vacations, for an accounting firm. That also gave some extra money. I also did some tutoring on the side. Wasn't quite my thing, but you kind of get around and you find ways to make a little extra money on the side. So it doesn't take you that long to actually save for something, or
Right.
take this trip when you can only do it once a year, maybe. So there are ways around it, but you also kind of have to find your ways, and you also have to want it,
Yeah,
basically.
be a little creative.
Exactly. Also kind of how you manage your time and how to fit all of this in. And so,
But what was for you that like pushed you into the direction of going the academic way? Like, clearly finances most probably were not that, right?
from a financial point of view, I made some very bad decisions with my education, but at least for now. But what kind of motivated me to go this kind of school academic route, also with university in the end, is just purely interest. So initially I wanted to become a medical doctor, and for that I just kind of, the way to go was just you do high school, then you go to university, and then you become a doctor. This changed a bit in the last year of high school when I realized I'm more interested in research. That's why I then kind of switched, and I studied biomedicine, virology, and now biochemistry for my PhD, to really kind of go in that direction. And basically it was just interest based. I mean, knowing that I go into research later, I could have done an apprenticeship as a lab technician, I guess, and then go to university. That would have been another option. I didn't know this at the time because I was so fixated on becoming a medical doctor that I thought high school is my only option. But that's basically what pushed me in that direction.
Yeah, because for me, I really like cash, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
And as mentioned, like when I started school, in my primary school, the person that took care of the whole building and like the outdoors and everything, he
Kind of a
was
facility manager.
facility manager, kind of, yeah. He's a super nice guy, and my family also knows him for like forever. And then on the first year I was there, I started at 6 years old, and it finished when I just turned 7. And I asked him, hey, do you need help during the vacation to like do something around to get a little extra cash? And he's like, yeah, sure. We have to clean the windows, to get a general scrub of the floors, and we have to do all the gardening. And the gardening was taking approximately 2 weeks. And I, of course, didn't want to clean, so I did the gardening stuff. And then for like 2 weeks, I was picked up at around 7:30, 8ish, and we worked for 8 to 10 hours a day. There was some food in the morning, some food or some ice cream in the afternoon, and you got like $8 or $10 an hour, which was gigantic.
You were 7 at the time?
Yes. And I did that for, I think, 6 or 8 years, something like that, when I finished elementary school, the 9 years. The last year I didn't, because I did a language school before I started my apprenticeship. But until a year before that, I did that every summer for like 2 weeks. And of course, you have 5 weeks of summer vacation. So I had 3 more weeks to fill. And my parents made me go on vacation for 1 week, which I didn't want to. But anyhow, it was probably good that they did. And also, I always looked out for some jobs the other 2 weeks because I was like, I want to be able to buy these books or to buy this computer or these toys or whatsoever or save up for later. And I was like, let's go to work, work, work. Because work for me was not work, it was fun because I hated school. So it was like really relaxing and a lot of fun, like gardening and everything. And that's kind of how I personally think I went into this apprenticeship model to make money basically. Because I saw if I go to school longer, I'm not going to earn as much as early as I would do in an apprenticeship. But I mean, if you're an 8-year-old child, you don't know what you're doing. You just think that's the right thing. But for me, it worked out perfectly.
So did you do the apprenticeship purely because of the money or also because you hated school?
Let's say it was a mix of both.
It was a mix of both. Okay, that's fair enough.
So, I mean, I got a lot of chances for different companies. So I applied for like 7, 8 companies and I got all of them or got in all of them and I could really choose what I want to do.
That's nice.
And I didn't choose the highest paying one actually. I chose the one where I thought or I still think I had the best opportunities to grow, to learn, to develop. It was the right decision at the end of the day. So could earn some money there. And of course, during vacation, I didn't work anymore. But it was still nice to see that now other kids are helping out there. So there are still some kids having the same ideas or motivation like I did, and they're now helping out to also make some money on the side.
But so basically, you not choosing the highest paying option or apprenticeship also means that it's not just all about the money and you wouldn't do anything for money, basically.
It depends on how much you're paying.
Okay.
No, kidding aside, for me it was like, what has the biggest potential, like long term?
Yeah.
Because it's an investment you do in your education. So I wanted to have a solid education. And for me, money is not the only payment. Time is also very important payment, in my opinion. And with the traveling from my home to the company or also to my hobbies, this was the best fit. And also the payment was still, it was not bad, but others were higher, but it was like still fine. And then the upside later, in my eyes, was bigger than on other companies. Yeah.
I guess this is probably the same argument that I can make just a few years delayed. That getting a PhD might put me up in a better financial position later on. It just takes a bit longer.
But at the end, I think you're always in for the long haul. And I think that's general for me in finance or personal finance. I always try to look at the bigger picture. Of course, I would love to have 1 million now, but you need to start somewhere. And the first one is always the hardest.
Was this also something your parents taught you, kind of have the long-term vision, especially also when it comes to finances? Or was it also really the case that even within the family you didn't really talk much about money?
I don't remember actually. I don't think we talked a lot about like my parents' finances, but I was always taught on how to deal with money, and it was like, of course you get some gifts and some toys, but it was always instilled in me, if you want something extra, go work for it. Ask the neighbors to cut their grass, shovel snow in winter, you can earn an extra buck here and there, and just get up and get yourself some money to do it. And I think that taught me to work hard and work for things you want. And you always think twice about wanting something if you have to work for it. If you just get it, you take everything.
But if you have to put in the time, the effort,
because time
save
is
some
so
money.
valuable, yeah. So yeah, I think that was the interesting part growing up. I don't know how that was for you, but I think the role model was not only the parents, but also what you see like within your neighborhood, with your other, like, not necessarily grown-up people around you, but just slightly older kids. Like when they had some toys and you're like, do I really need it, or can I just lend it every now and then and use it, and then also save some money and again play the long game. But yeah, again, if you're 8 years old, you're not gonna think that much about these things.
Yeah, for me it was, I guess, quite similar. Maybe my parents were a bit more generous with money. I mean, we didn't get like shitloads of money because my parents are like normal working middle class.
Yeah, same.
I said that I got quite a generous pocket money kind of every month from my parents during high school, but the rest was also the same. Either wait for your birthday if you want something bigger, or find a job to work for it. We also didn't really talk about about money, kind of in terms of the finances of my parents either. I didn't know a lot about it, to be honest. It was also more kind of how to deal with money, how to spend it, invest it, save it, kind of just how to make a budget, track your expenses, see where it actually goes, which was also very valuable, I
Yeah,
think.
all those taxes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But did that change now? Like that you're older, like you're grown up. Do you have more insight in your parents' finances, or is it still like the old days?
I do have a bit more insight, yes. I mean, they also do with my finances. It also has to do a bit with my dad is an accountant.
So an expert.
Yeah, he's an expert, and I asked him kind of for advice on how to fill out my tax declaration and stuff. And for that, obviously, he needs to know. And also with some recent life events that happened, he had some more insight in what's going on. And then he also told me a little bit about how it was in their situation, what they did, and
Some
kind of
experiences.
some experiences, and then obviously some numbers came up as well. So that I guess I have a bit more insight now that we're grown up.
Because for me, it changed when I turned 19, when I finished my apprenticeship and I went to the US. And I was like, when something happens to me, or back in the day, you still had this card reader to log into your e-banking. And I was like, yeah, what happens if this breaks and I'm in the US? Like, what the heck do I do? And then I like gave the full access to all my bank accounts and everything to my dad, just as a backup. And also, I mean, of course, I trust him, but still, like to have this backup, and also then you get to talking, like as you said, how it was in their situation and stuff like that when they bought the house, and they had some also challenges to manage at their very young age buying it. And I think it's very interesting to see it doesn't matter what age you're on, it's still you talk very reserved about even the situations that have been 20 years ago. So I think that's very interesting to see. But still, like they opened up more at that age. I mean, of course, until I was 18, they anyhow had all my bank accounts and everything. But still, to this day, I still have this kind of backup option if something happens to me. Also with my investments, there's somebody in my life I trust, and this person knows how to get there. I mean, there's also some barriers, of course, not making it easy. But I think it's important that you have this kind of backup safeties or something if something happens.
I mean, you can grant them full access, but obviously you can also set up a system that in case something happens to you, they can kind of take care of it. That's also what I did with my dad.
But it's funny how it is dads, right?
Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, for me, I always assumed it's my dad because he's working kind of in this financial sector. That's because he has a lot of expertise. That's kind of why I talk to him about this stuff. But it's interesting that it's the same for you because your dad's not an accountant, right?
Yeah.
Or also,
I think it's not an accountant, but he's working in the tax area, and he was also on the bank.
okay, but then it kind of makes sense.
But also my mom works on the bank, so
Okay, I guess.
they're both in the money sector.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I think it's always depending on the life situation, because it's like at one point when you say, okay, I'm gonna buy a house, yeah, well, good luck. Without any parental support, you're not gonna do that nowadays here in Switzerland.
No, not
Not a chance. I wouldn't know how.
Unless you earn more than $1 million a year, you can just forget about it.
So also there, I'm like, we always talk because my parents, they have a house, and at one point the plan is that I'm gonna buy it. And also they're like, what's the smartest way to do it? How do you deal with taxes? Because it's like a direct parent-child thingy, and I also need to have some money to buy it because it's not cheap. Like, all these things to set it up and also coordinate. And then also like they're sharing slowly their experiences they had, and then you see a little bit more behind the curtain, but it's not like fully transparent. But I think it's very interesting though.
So you still think it's just kind of this cultural thing, at least here in Switzerland, that we have, that we just don't talk about money generally?
Yeah, I think so. I'm all for transparency, but I also think not everybody needs to know everything.
I mean, sure, yeah, we wouldn't discuss it, I guess, publicly on the podcast now. This is something we could discuss later. Kind of because of this maybe kind of lack of talking, especially about financial topics, is there something regarding finances that you wish you would have known earlier?
I mean, the big thing is I wish I knew to buy Bitcoin in 2011.
Okay, maybe we don't. Yeah, I mean, sure, me too, man. But like,
That's one of my biggest regrets, if you can call it like that.
oh, it's fine, leave it.
That's one of the big things which I wish I knew earlier.
Okay.
Not necessarily, there's a lot of things I could have done differently, but I was always very lucky with what I did with my money and my investments and stuff. And I started investing in stocks, ETFs, and cryptos just after I turned 18. So there was not really a possibility to do it earlier, to be honest. Maybe I should have chosen things differently because my first investment was like, this coin looks cool. I like the color. Let's buy it. And luckily, I did the right thing because it went up a bit. And of course, I mean, like you put in $100 and you're like, whoa, I'm rich. I have $110 now. It was not a lot of money, but still, if I think back on how I chose this investment, it's like, you stupid SOB. But I think it was a good experience to make, to learn, because I also had experience where it like went to zero just right after I bought it. And it was not a lot of money. It's just like these little learning experiences. But coming back to your question, what would I wish to knew earlier? I think to jump on or to get on hypes faster.
Okay.
Because a hype is a real thing. And as long as you wait and it goes up is the time you lose money or you're not making money. I had multiple things I kind of missed. One of them was
Don't say GameStop.
yeah, it was GameStop, where I was browsing through Reddit and I read the whole thing before it exploded, and I was like, damn, that would be cool. I should buy some of it. And like then I forgot it. I don't know, went to the gym or to the toilet or to work or whatever, and like 2 months later was like, bam, I'm like, no. So I think sometimes it's very good to trust your gut and to just join some hypes. You don't have to throw in a lot of money because I was an apprentice. I didn't have a lot of money. But if I would have just put in $100, it might would have been 200. It's a small thing. And of course, there's going to be taxes and deductions and blah, blah, blah. But you learn and you get experience in how to do it and trust your gut and build the gut. And I think I should have done that more because I have a few experiences where I was like, yeah, I should have. And I also have some experience where like, yeah, I bought it and like, yes, luckily I did, or shit, you went to zero. But I think, sorry for the brabbling, but going back to the question, getting on hypes if my gut tells me to.
Okay.
And not just saying, yeah, it's only a hype, it's gonna be over soon, let's not do it because it's a hype and I'm not hyping. So just like trust your gut and do it sometimes. Not all the times, you're gonna be broke, but every now and then.
I just wanted to say, I mean, your gut feeling is one thing, but it could also go the exact opposite direction.
Yeah.
If you're investing like in stocks, this might go very wrong.
Absolutely. But also there I have a lot of opinions on what to invest in, but yeah. But maybe before we go there, do you see anything now you didn't see 10 years ago?
In terms of personal finances?
Cash, money, investments. Just like if you think about how to make big buck.
How to make big buck, I guess, buy Bitcoin in 2011. No. I mean, for me, what I kind of low-key regret is not investing earlier, because I always assumed if I just put my money in a savings account and that would be fine enough. Turns out it isn't, because even as a student with like kind of beneficial interest rates on savings accounts, you get maybe 1%.
Which is
year,
nothing.
Which is basically nothing. It doesn't even correct for inflation. That's definitely a big thing. Even if it's just to maintain the value of your money, because it will devalue based on inflation or just currency devaluation. I'm not sure whether you can make big bucks with it. I guess it also depends what you invest in, whether you jump on a hype and you're really lucky and it turns out to be the right call, or if you kind of bet on the wrong thing, or I don't know. So there's so many factors that don't necessarily guarantee success, and you can also gamble quite a bit, I feel like, when you're trading stocks or investing in that regard. But that's something I regret a bit, not investing earlier. Because it's just kind of, if you even have a little dividend and kind of a little interest on your investment that will add up over time. And if I started 10 years ago, which I didn't,
Then compound interest.
you have compound interest, right? So that's one thing. And kind of the other thing maybe would be that bankers work for the bank, they don't work for you. So if you want to make big bucks investing, then don't go through like an actively managed fund. Unless you really don't give a shit and you have too much money anyway. But if you pay like some management fee, a certain percentage, then you kind of lose a lot of what you earned. So that's maybe also one way to avoid to make big bucks. I don't know, but
And I also think like ETFs are good. I'm invested in them. But honestly, I'm not in the point in my life, sadly, where I can just throw money in ETF and it's going to be enough. My opinion, I always invested extreme high risk, diverse, but extreme high risk, because most people are not going to get rich with working, and therefore you're not going to have the amount of money to throw in a safe investment to get enough money out of it to live off of it. So basically, I see only one way to get a massive amount of cash, to be honest, going extreme high risk and being lucky AF.
I guess, but you have to be really lucky as well. Because if you go very high risk, then that high risk can, like high risk, high reward, but also high risk, high losses, right?
Yeah, right.
It can go both ways.
I mean, my worst nights I lost a lot of money, but there's also other nights I won a lot of money. But it's like there's ups and downs.
Have you seen, it's kind of gone viral on Wall Street Bets Germany? The guy who lost 192K. Have you seen that?
No, I didn't know there's
Okay.
a Wall Street Bets Germany. I only know the other one.
So yeah, it can go very wrong. I mean, he's become a bit of a meme now, but
But on the other hand, for some people, 192K is like pocket change, and they're like, whatever, you know?
if most people are not in a position where they can go kind of for the safe investment route, then make enough money of it, and they kind of, in your opinion, have to go the high risk route, and something like this happens, very bad.
Yeah, but if
Because
you
then-
if you can invest in 192K, I think then you're on a different. I think there is some money around. I mean, I'm talking about when you can invest 5K. If you can invest 5K and you get 1% out of it, then you can also shove it up your ass. I mean, sorry to say.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. I think the problem is that maybe some people see it as kind of gambling, and what I assume kind of the two of us do is kind of invest in ETFs or stocks, and then the worst case scenario is basically end up with zero if the stock has no value anymore. But there's also kind of all these other financial products that I'm not kind of educated enough to deal with or to speculate with, that I think many people are, and then you can really lose more than you actually invested. So I guess
fair.
that's when it becomes a bit dangerous, and you try to be like risky, not just invest in a trending stock like I'd buy some GameStop shares, but actually like, I don't know what it's called in
Yeah, I
English.
don't know either, but
Kind of, you know what I mean?
I
Like
know what I mean.
an 50er Hebel or something like
Yeah,
this.
but there's also like you can buy it where you leverage what you have and you have like a loss prevention,
True.
but there you also don't have as much upside. But at the end of the day, I think only invest what you're ready to lose and make sure you cannot lose more than you invest. Everything I invested in the last 9 years is for me lost money. That's like money I'm never going to see again because it's still in the system or in a coin or in a stock. Even though I own some Apple stocks, I'm like, never going to see the money again because Apple's going to explode. I don't know. And as soon as it's back on my bank account, then it's available. But before that, it's lost money, it's a lost cause, never going to see again.
But I guess this is also how you should approach losses, I guess, because you only kind of realize a loss or a win once you basically cash it out.
Yeah.
Before that, it's just a paper win or a paper loss.
And you have to decouple the emotions from the number. If you invest $10, 10,000 or 10 million, it should be always the same. Because in my worst night, we have to beep this, I lost.
Holy shit, dude.
So within 10 hours.
Holy fucking shit, I need a drink.
you know,
Sip some water. God.
that was my worst night. And I think that was a very big learning because before that happened, I was always checking my portfolio. I was always checking in like every 2 hours. I woke up during the night checking 2 cents up. Oh my God, I'm going to be rich. 4 cents down. Holy cow. Right? And now I'm like, yeah, portfolio is 50% down, whatever, it's crypto. You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
this kind of relaxed, and I had to get mentally into a state where I'm like, I don't give a shit about this money. It's gone. Doesn't matter if it goes to a billion or to zero, the same worth. Of course, if it goes to a billion, I might take some money out, but you know what I mean. And this decoupling of the emotion to the number took a intensive situation, which helped me to say, okay, I have to decouple and just assume all money is lost and never turn back. And just change my mind.
I guess you kind of have to, it depends on the risk tolerance that you have. If you want to invest some money that you have and you really cannot lose it, then you should go for something quite
Safe.
safe.
Fully with you.
There's like very safe investment products. Again, I'm not sure what they're called in English, but kind of bonds, I think it
Yeah.
is.
Or you can also donate with the link below.
Yeah, for example, maybe I have to set up a Patreon, I guess.
Yeah, right.
But that's obviously kind of quite safe and very low risk. But if you go to high risk situations like investing in stocks or something else, then yeah, you have to be able to live with this possibility of just basically losing it all. And you have to be fine with it if you go into it. Like if I never see this money again, then I'm still fine. And otherwise you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm fully with you. And sometimes it's nice when you take a little profit and you can do a nice vacation, which you couldn't do otherwise, and maybe support or help out other people that are in need. Doing some good stuff as well. But yeah, it was a learning, and I think we're touching already the next topic on the list, which are the mental challenges. And I think this is one point. If you're investing, you're mentally occupied in the beginning, a lot actually, and you need to learn to manage this. But I feel there's also a lot of mental challenges if you're below a certain threshold of money. Like the base, or how you say, the base amount of money required to live in Switzerland, let's just say, is 50K. And if you have this 50K, you get too much else. If you have 60K, you can do a little bit more. If you have 70, a little more, etc. Also, your tax is gonna go up, so you need a substantial amount above this 50K to feel safe, to put money to the side, to pay taxes and everything. I'm not sure if it's 50K, I just assume the number now, but just for the example, to have this distance between what you need, like effectively need, like an apartment, food, water, doctor, whatever, insurance, and then you have things you want to put to the side, maybe some fun money, and then you're somewhere, okay, now I can breathe again. And I feel a lot of people are between the I can pay my doctor and fun money, but I can't put anything away. So my future is still effed up, but at least I can survive. But they never really get out of this. And I think that's mentally super tough.
It is, yeah. I mean, I can say from experience that with 50K in Switzerland you manage, but it's not
Nice.
nice. No.
Just FYI, we're not sitting in like a 200 square meter apartment with like a rooftop pool and everything.
No.
We talk about basic commodities.
Yeah.
Super basic. And 50K is a lot of money.
It is, but at the same time, at least around here, it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, this number will obviously vary depending on where you live. Like,
Of course, but we talk about Zurich and
yeah,
area.
yeah. Have you ever had that situation that you don't have enough money and you are kind of in this stressful kind of area? You're just earning enough to cover all your bills, or you're in this kind of transition area that you mentioned where you can also have some fun, but not really set something aside, and you're still kind of stressed?
So I think I had this situation kind of 2 times. And one time was when I lived in the US. and I had only like a student kind of payment monthly, which was very thin. I was living with a host family and they were super nice, and I only had to pay like, I don't remember, like $200 a month for food, rent, everything, which is insanely cheap, right? And I could live there like king, and it was amazing. And I think I earned, I don't remember actually. I need to look that up, but I didn't earn as much. And so basically at the end of the month, I was always down to zero because I was like, I'm gonna be here for 8 months. I want to take in the experience. I want to do things, but I also don't want to kill all my savings because I, maybe want to buy a car when I get back home, or if I go study, I cannot work full time and stuff like that. So there I was in this clinch where I'm like, should I really spend the money to have this fun, to have these experiences, or should I like save $200 a month, and does that really help? And for me, that was quite a tough situation because I didn't know where I'm standing. And then I just decided, well, whatever happens, happens. We're going to spend some money. And it was the right decision because I had an amazing time, an amazing experience. This was one time, and another time when I moved to a different apartment, it was a little bit more expensive because we needed more space. And there was just like the base pay of the apartment and everything went up, like when we moved to the Zurich area. And this was really challenging for me or for us because we're like, me and my girlfriend moved in there, and we're like, hey, we do not have that bad of salaries for our age, but we still barely manage to put some things aside because we're both very cautious in our money management. We try to invest, to set aside like future wise if we want to buy a house in the future and stuff like that. We were like, hey, what are we doing wrong? The food went up, and that's something I'm not going to save on. I want to have good quality food. Rent went up, electricity went up, everything was way more expensive. And there was a time I didn't feel it, but when the situation was resolved, like when this initial amount of money, like getting all the furniture, getting set up, when this kind of time was over, we could set aside just a little bit more. And then you feel all this stress go away. And you're like, what's this feeling? Because you don't have this pressure of having the zero at the end of the month. It was never zero, it was always way more. But you see just the numbers coming in, and you're like, shit, shit, shit. And this puts an extreme load of stress on the mind, but also the relationship in my case. Because we're like, okay, what do we do? How do we do it? Are we doing something wrong? Are we losing somewhere? And like, okay. And then just as soon as we like, apartment was set up and everything was bought, and like this initial costing phase was over, was like, okay, now it's chill. But also there, like if we would have earned 20K more each, we would not have had this phase. And I imagine just if you're always in this situation, it must be extremely stressful. And if you have kids and they need a laptop for school or stuff, I don't know how some people do it because I think it's super, super hard.
Luckily, I've only been in a situation like this for a brief period of time, and it was also kind of temporary. I knew it would be temporary, but there was a time in my life where basically I was just living salary to salary, but no like big expenses. It was just kind of enough to cover rent, health insurance, like all other insurances that you need to have in Switzerland, pay for food and electricity, and that was it. And still at the end of the month, I was left with maybe $50 or $100. And you really kind of had to think twice or 3 times or 4 times before you buy something. And also with groceries, like, can I actually afford this? Shouldn't I maybe just eat pasta and like
Tomato
add some
sauce.
tomato sauce to it, because it will still give me energy. It doesn't really taste great. And it's not very varied, but you could still save some money. You have some left, a little bit more left at the end of the month. So kind of this situation where you basically can just cover the essentials, and every unexpected expense just basically throws you under the bus. This is very, very stressful. Kind of where it's going then to the point that even though you have health insurance in Switzerland and kind of health expenses are capped at 3.2K a year, you couldn't afford to get sick because you cannot afford a doctor without going in debt. So and that's a very, very stressful situation, and it also was for me. Even though I knew it would be temporary. So
And I think we could always, I assume you as well, we could always go and ask the parents, hey, can you help me out for a month?
I actually did. In the end, I
And
had to because of some unexpected expenses that I couldn't cover myself. So I had to ask my parents for 3 grand, like 3K, I don't know, grand, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. Which I paid back since, but this is a horrible feeling too, I have
And
to
you
say.
and you just don't want to do it because you're like, I'm grown up, I can handle myself, it's gonna be fine. And you're like, shit.
I think it was even, for me at least, it was even worse than kind of not having enough money, was actually to have to go and ask my parents for financial help. Because otherwise I couldn't have managed that time. Because it's associated with a lot of guilt. You kind of have to admit that you're not making it, even as a grown adult. And I feel like there's also a lot of stigma around that, even though I'm sure my parents didn't see it that way. But
Yeah,
just,
they would just like, I need 10K, okay, pay me back when you can. Most probably, I
yeah,
assume. Because
yeah.
they're like, okay, my kiddo needs help, let's help.
But still, you feel like a total failure.
Yeah,
in that
you feel like
situation.
shit.
You feel like shit. Like you've done something completely stupid. Like you cannot handle your finances, even though.
And it would be fine if you like invest in a shit coin and lose everything. You're
Yeah.
like, well, this was the mistake I made.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. But it's just kind of this combination of unfortunate life circumstances that force you in this situation, and I think a lot of people have that,
But nobody's asking.
but nobody's asking.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of friends would also help out because if you have like 5, 6 very good friends and everybody lends you 1K, for example, I'm sure everybody would do it of these 5, 6 people, and you have 6 grand, which will help you out in this moment tremendously. And for them, it's not a gigantic like kind of amount of money they have to give you, and you can pay them back. You know, of course, you need to be good friends and you have to write it down that it's fine, but still, I think a lot of people are afraid to ask and are not asking, and they're like, are some people that ask and they're always asking and they're never paying it back, also that kind of people. But I think sometimes it's just better to ask because it's gonna stress you mentally to ask, but you're gonna feel better when you don't have to like this zero so close.
I think this also goes back to, at least in kind of our culture, not talking about money. That really doesn't help, because if this is kind of the first time you talk with your friends or family about money when you're in that situation, that raises the stakes even further up, because, or it kind of, the barrier is even higher. to
Yeah, if you
actually-
talked before about, yeah, I got a pay raise from 10 grand to 20 grand, nice, let's go for dinner and invite, you know, it's different.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
This is definitely, I think, financial security is, if you have it, you don't think much about it. But if you don't have it, it's kind of the only thing you can think about, like all day long.
And I think it gets worse the more people depend on you. Like,
Yeah.
if it's only me, I mean, I can sleep on the ground, I don't care. But if you have like a spouse or kids, or maybe you have 25 brothers and sisters and they all sleep under a roof, I don't know, and you pay for that, and then you're the reason everybody has to sleep outside in a little extreme way, that's putting even more pressure on you and your financial situation.
Yeah, of course, yeah, definitely.
So I think that's, the more people depend on you, the harder it gets mentally, the closer you get to that red line. I always hear like, yeah, Swiss people have so much money and everything. And like, dude, we have to work super hard for it. I mean, we work 42 and a half hours a week. I mean, more like 45 to 50, most people probably.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people working 2 jobs. Everything's expensive and you have to pay for shit.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think, what gets missed a lot, or like a misconception about Switzerland. Yes, in absolute numbers, our salaries are a lot higher than elsewhere.
Fair.
But also, cost of living in absolute numbers is higher
Insane.
than elsewhere. Like, I think Zurich is one of the most expensive cities to live in, with Geneva being like close second to that. So proportionally, kind of, it actually equals out to be roughly the same in terms of what you spend.
Or even worse.
Or it's even worse, yeah.
Or I just remember my first apartment, I rented for about, I think, $1,600
Okay.
ish. And I lived at the middle of nowhere, right? And it still was $1,600. It was a super nice apartment. And I left it after 1.5 years. and they bumped it up to 1,800. It's like $200 more in 18 months. And I'm like, the apartment is 18 months older and it's nice, but 1,600 is like the sweet spot. I would not pay more for that. And now I assume, because that was a while ago, it's probably 2K, which is insane. And I mean, we're not talking about the city. We're talking about the Rhine Valley, which is like 1.5 hours away from Zurich, an hour away from St. Gallen, and an hour away from Chur, which are the next few cities. But it's
And
like,
they're not big cities. We
no,
have to
they're
say, for
like
non-Swiss people,
tiny ones, tiny ones.
they're more like towns, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, Zurich also is not like a city, internationally speaking. It's only 500,000 people.
In the core of Zurich, yeah, that's true.
But even if you take surrounding, it's only 1 mil.
Yeah, it's like 1 to 2 mil, depending on how you count.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
But still, it's like still quite small. But even in the middle of nowhere.
And we're not talking about like a 10-room like mansion or something.
No.
Yeah,
We talk about
something.
a three-bedroom apartment. But yeah, I mean, looking back, it was a super nice apartment. My bachelor's apartment, loved it. It was amazing. But it's just crazy how the money changed there. Therefore, but yeah, I think this is something that's on my mind a lot. To just like, if you walk around the city or if you're at the lake and you watch people, like, do you think about every one of these people need to earn a certain amount of money? And then you see people or parents are like, yeah, no, we can't buy ice cream. Is it because the kids are not allowed to, or because they don't have any money? And like these thoughts, I'm like, I never want to be in the situation, and this might sound very wrong, but I don't want to think if I can buy ice cream or not for $2. I don't. But it's easier said when you're in a certain situation. If you're in a shitty situation, you're going to hate me right now for this. But I never want to be in this situation.
No, I mean, I fully agree. I mean, I've been in that situation for a brief time. It is absolutely horrible. And one thing I kind of told myself is to never be in such a situation again. Or like to try my very absolute best to avoid the situation at all cost. Because I know how shitty it can be. And it was only for a temporary, brief period. Now I cannot imagine how it's like if you were like in such a situation for multiple years with no end in sight. So no, I'm fully with you on that. This is kind of this financial independence, like not being rich, but just kind of comfortable enough not to worry about these small expenses.
And I think that's also, or I would define it as being wealthy. Just having not an abundance of money, but having money for your bills, having money for emergencies, having something to put aside, and some fun money, may I call it like that. If you're able to do that, you made it. Because as said, to get rich, you're gonna be either working in corporate and going up the ladder and you're trading time for money, or you have to be extremely lucky with a certain investment you make, or invent something and sell it. I mean, those are basically 3 ways. But at the end of the day, you may gonna make $1 million or 2, but to really get up there in like the 50, 100 mil range, not a lot of people are gonna do that.
No,
We're still trying, but not yet.
Should we mention again or the QR code for the donation?
We need to put on a Patro, how is it called?
Patreon. I think,
Patreon, yeah, right. Some twin links and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's only for the Swiss people.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, fair enough. No, we're working on it. We're working on it.
But talking about twins, do you, and now moving a little bit away from this financial security, when you like spend money, how do you spend money? Like in terms of technology, you're still old school in terms of here you have the cash and I have a safe at home and I hate banks and everything at my home, or are you like, yeah, Twint and there's a bank account and there's a bank account? How you deal with that?
So again, kind of interjecting for the non-Swiss, Twint is basically, I think in the EU it's
Venmo or
Venmo.
Venmo.
So basically kind of
or
like,
PayPal.
Or PayPal, yeah, kind of paying with your phone that's not Apple Pay or Google Pay based. Mostly I use Twint or my credit cards. So through Apple Pay or just actually the physical card sometimes as well, or Twint. Rarely, very, very rarely, and only in very exceptional cases, I pay in cash. So for me, it's just convenience because I only need to bring my phone or my wallet with like the few cards in it. I can basically pay everywhere I don't need to worry about bringing the correct currency when I go abroad on vacation, for example. I still bring a little bit just in case as a
Yeah.
backup, but I don't need to carry like 2K in that foreign
Like
currency.
2K euros or
Yeah,
something.
for example, and don't have to carry that around. So for me, it's just a convenience factor. Why I pay basically with card or like with these mobile apps, but kind of amounts to the same. That's kind of my approach. I still do carry a little bit of cash, not a lot, either when I'm abroad in foreign currency or also here in the Swiss franc, just in case, because obviously no technology is fail safe. And I actually had it happen once that I was grocery shopping, and then I don't know why exactly, but all card terminals
Yeah, they went offline.
were offline. I don't know if you remember
I
when we were
remember.
shopping on that day.
I was like 2 times in the last couple of years that happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
Worldline was down, I think.
Yeah, so it was just completely down, and you couldn't pay with card or like all these online like app pay or whatever it is, and they only accepted cash because that was still worked. And luckily, I had enough cash on me to actually pay my groceries, so I could take them home, because also kind of the ATMs were not working. Kind of obvious, I guess, if the card terminals are also not
Everything was
working,
down.
everything
Right.
was down, but so in these cases, or when you go to a more rural place where maybe they don't accept cards, that's why I always carry a little bit of cash, but I'm mostly card. How's it for you?
I only carry my phone.
Okay.
I don't carry cards. I don't carry cash. I don't carry nothing.
Oh, okay.
I only have my phone with me.
So you're basically fucked if something happens.
If my phone blows up, I have a massive problem.
Okay.
I know it's a risk, but for me, the convenience as well. My phone is my car key. It's my Apple Pay. It's my identification. Everything's on my phone. Also, I was in the mountains this week. Also, if you're on a super remote mountain in Switzerland,
They have to win.
they have Twint.
Yes.
And you're like on a mountain 3,000 meters in the air, and there's like this little wooden box in the middle of nowhere, and there's like a freezer in there or a cooler, and there's like a QR code, and like, yeah, just pay what you take. And like you twint $5 and take out 2 drinks. And it's all about trust and twinting, like PayPaling or Venmoing and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But I'm like, this is so Swiss.
It is
This
amazing.
this is so Swiss, and it works amazingly.
I've experienced that as well. Like the
Right.
most remote area, and you just pay with bloody Twint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for that it's really amazing because I strongly disliked Twint in the beginning, still do, out of the reason it's a closed system for Switzerland. Because I have my Twint, I have my Revolut, I have my PayPal, I have my like I have all these different things for different countries, and the rate's better there and there. I mean, complaining on a very high level.
Of course.
But that's why I'm using card everywhere. Wherever I can, I pay with my credit card. I get some miles, but I pay with my credit card because everything, it's just inconvenient.
Yeah, if you have to have like 10 different
Right.
apps for.
And also the usability, like I have to open my phone. I have to search for the app Twint. I think there's a widget in the meantime, but
There
in the
is, yes.
beginning, you had to like go to the app to tap 3 times, and with the card, press 2 times, and you have your card. I mean, that's convenience is king. And I think for me, that's the real reason. I strongly prefer to also have money with me, like in my car or in my wallet, just if something happens. But also at home, I always like to keep a little bit of cash. I'm still a big fan of cash as well because it's just you have something physical. It's easier to handle. You don't have to go to the bank to put it in the bank to get it out of the bank.
So for you, it's also just kind of a backup, but not like a payment option that you regularly use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, of course, I would like to have a safe with like just millions of dollars in them who nobody knows about, but it's just
some
not.
gold bars.
Yeah, right. But that's just not reality.
No, and it's probably also not realistic for most people.
Right.
Either.
So, would be nice. Not the case. I'm sorry.
No, also not for me.
Not yet.
Working on it.
Right. But I think I'm very sad if cash is gonna go away, because as a kid, cash was more understandable. You have 5 times $20. You take away 1 time $20, you have 4 times $20. If it's just a number on the screen, like when you get your pocket money as a kid, you see the coins and the bills and everything, you see it, and you see when it leaves your pocket because you're going to buy something, and it's different to learn.
Because you actively have the feeling you lose something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's crucial for kids to learn. If they just see numbers, that's not going to work.
Have you ever had the problem of kind of spending too much now that you've kind of also switched to more like, or almost exclusively kind of electronic payment methods?
No, because I just got a new credit card beginning of the year, and I was shocked what kind of limit they gave me because it was way too high for my taste. And I usually, even though I have a purely standard credit card, I usually load, for example, 2K on my credit card. So I overload it, and I use the overloaded money, and then I load it again. I never go into this credit part of the credit card because I hate that.
I think credit cards are very nice sometimes because they have sometimes a higher limit. You can get some benefits out of them, like you can collect miles, for example.
Or if you book a few flights in the same months and stuff like this.
Exactly, but I think you should only get a credit card if you're able to pay off the entire bill at the end of the month. Or like you preload it as you do, and then you know.
I'm just paranoid.
And then you kind of know that you have an amount of money available. Because have you seen the interest rates if you do partial payments? It's like 13, 14%.
15 to 16%.
It's insane. Like, this is not worth it.
No.
Like, if you cannot afford to pay off the whole thing at once, don't get a credit card.
But yeah, it's at the end of the day, I would say the main goal is to have a big ass safe at home with some gold in it, maybe some other valuables, cash in multiple currencies. Then you're safe, whatever happens. And to get to a point where you can have that in like 5 different currencies, I think then you have so much money, then you can do all different things.
Yeah.
Not there yet, sadly. Or
We'd also-
how many gold bars you have below your bed?
Sadly, none. But there's a funny story though. A couple of years back, someone lost one of their gold bars on a train in Switzerland, which is like basically screaming out, "Tell me you're Swiss without telling me you're Swiss." And the guy who found it actually returned it to the police. So I wish I would be in this situation.
This is so Swiss.
This is so Swiss. I would love to be in that situation at
Like,
some point.
oh, I lost the gold bar. It's just one. It's fine.
Yeah, like it was never reclaimed.
Really?
No, as far as I know, it was never reclaimed.
Oh my god.
So like, I want to be in that situation. I want to be that
Where
person.
you just don't give a fuck
Where you just
about...
don't give a shit about losing a gold bar.
Well, goals,
Goals, yeah.
right? But I think to wrap it up, at the end of the day, when you get to the point, whether it's card or cash or Bitcoin or whatever there is out there, when you can pay your bills, you have a little buffer, you have some fun money, and you have some money to plan your future, and you don't have to worry that this setup's not working, then you're good.
Yeah, totally. You don't need the gold bar, you don't need the Ferrari.
No. I mean, it's nice.
It's nice to have, but you don't need it
Right.
to live a good life.
Right. So maybe you also should not buy that Ferrari if you don't have the means to it.
No, definitely.
But yeah, and also here, I think to say again, there was a disclaimer in the beginning. This is our experience, our opinions, and we made some jokes about donating money. Feel free to. But at the end of the day, it was also amusement.
Yeah.
And we wanted to share how we see things. And I think it's interesting just to have 2 very basic, average human beings out
With
of
normal
Switzerland
salaries.
with normal salaries, no crazy money, not 250K a month,
Oh, not even close.
just to talk about what do they do, how do they do it, and yeah. And I want to try something. If somebody listens till the end, I would really love if they comment banana somewhere, just to see if somebody listens till here.
Be it on Spotify, YouTube, doesn't
Right?
matter.
Oh, before
Bananas are great.
Bananas are great. Post in a banana emoji and write bananas are great. All right.
So thanks for listening, and see or hear you next time.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Thank you, guys.